involved with diversity. Sorry, that's okay. She's very involved in leadership and in diversity education. She's was very involved with CTOT, which is a favorite we know of Jana, one of our past presidents. So I'd like to her to tell a little bit about herself and then start her program. Thank you and enjoy the program.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for being here. If you have not, if you'll please mute yourself. I am going to let you know we're going to use the chat somewhat today, but to tell you a little bit about me, I've been in DKG for 18 years now. I often say that I didn't jump in feet first, I jumped in body first, and just got active really quickly. The first year I was a member, one of my chapter members who was a mentor of mine said, "Come on, we're going to state convention. It's what we do." And I said, "Okay," and off we went. And then the next month she said, "Hey, we're going to regional convention. Come on, that's what we do." And I said, "Okay," and off we went. And so I haven't looked back with my involvement with DKG. But again, thanks for being here this morning. So I am going to start sharing screen. Bear with me as I look at two screens right here right now. And we are going to go from the beginning. Yes. There we go. And here we are. Okay. Bear with me. I'm trying something new with the teleprompter. We're going to give this a try. So, hello, and thank you for spending a little time with me on your Saturday morning. Welcome to the chapters who have gathered together for this session, and to those who are joining us individually. Today, we're going to talk about a way to think about your role as a leader, regardless of what title or position you have in DKG or another organization or as an educator. Along the way, I'll be asking you to reflect on how these ideas are showing up in your own life and your community, and I invite you to share thoughts in the chat as you're comfortable. I'm hoping we can get ideas from each other and see that we share some of the same issues and strengths. I've planned a Q&A at the end of our time, so feel free to put any questions in the chat and I'll answer them as we go. By a show of hands, I'm curious to know how many of you have ever heard of the concept of ikigai? And I'm not seeing very many hands. I see there aren't many of you who know about it, so let me do a quick introduction. Ikigai is a Japanese concept. Iki means life, and gai means value or worth. In general, ikigai is your life's purpose or your bliss. This graphic illustrates the idea that finding the intersection where what you love, what you're good at, what you're valued for, and what the world needs all overlap helps infuse your life with meaning. There are many resources on Ikigai, and my friend Barbara Bray uses it in her book, Define Your Why. If you're interested in digging deeper into defining your why, I'm going to add a link in the chat that gives you more information and that you could follow up on later. And bear with me while I do that now. Here we go. Good. Okay. For now, I'm going to use this model to examine how we can use our strengths, expertise, and passion to meet the needs of our chapters and state organizations. If you go to the Resources tab on dkg.org and select Membership, you will find a Chapter Strengthening tab. If you scroll down from there, you'll find a document called Strategies for a Positive Chapter Environment. I'm adding a note in the chat to help you find this later on. This is tricky. I'm having to navigate screens, so bear with me. There we go. As I was reviewing the subtitles in this resource, it struck me that good leadership skills involve each of these practices, and that this list could be a powerful guide for any leader to reference. The details might not be the same, but the strategies would be valuable across any organization. So I'm going to touch on a couple of points from that document for each one, and I encourage you to look at the whole document at the later date. So let's start with plan for success. It says to select 2 or 3 areas and make a plan to fit your chapter's needs. Choosing a manageable number of goals helps focus your energy and resources and increases the likelihood of achieving those goals. I especially appreciate the next sentence. Consider assigning specific actions and scheduling follow-up that includes encouragement as well as accountability. These are truly critical steps for activating any plan. Let's talk about chapter communication. Communicate with members in multiple ways. Ask them how they like to connect. If you know if someone prefers text or email or a phone call, you can make communication more effective. Please send reminders for meetings, application deadlines, and committee work. Everyone is busy these days, and it's easy for dates to slip by. When you send reminders, it helps people show up. Engaging members. Provide different ways for members to contribute to the success of your chapter. They might present a program or support your chapter project. Promote personal and professional growth opportunities at chapters, state, and international levels. Today's seminar is one of those opportunities, and it's being recorded so you can share it with others. Nurture member relationships. Our members tell us that the #1 benefit of being a member in DKG is making connections with other leading women educators. Please be sure to build in time for fellowship at your meetings. Provide extra support for new, transferred, and reinstated members. Consider assigning a buddy for each of them. Recruiting and retaining members. Remind all members to look for potential recruits. This is everybody's responsibility. So I'm going to stop here for a minute and ask, who is one woman in your life who would benefit from DKG? So I'm going to give you a second to think about that. And please add her first name to the chat. Sometimes I think we don't think about DKG as what it's going to give to others. We think about DKG as how are we going to recruit more members to our chapter? And when we put it in the frame of how is she going to benefit? How do we want to share this wonderful organization with others? It helps us think about who we would invite. Please don't say no for someone else. Don't say she has young children, so she doesn't have time, or she's taking care of elderly parents, so she doesn't have time, or she's active in other organizations, so she doesn't have time. When we think about each of us, I'm sure some of you have young children. I'm sure some, and I've seen a couple on the screen today, hooray. I'm sure some of you have elderly family that you're taking care of. And I know, because I've done surveys in DKG room after DKG room, that most of you are active in other organizations. So don't say no for someone else. Make sure that you ask them first. And I have a really good friend in California who is well known for her recruiting benefits and how active she is in the organization. And she has told me time and again that she would have been in DKG 10 years earlier if someone had invited her, but they didn't invite her. So think about that. Please hold an orientation to help new members know the benefits and expectations of membership. You wouldn't hire a new teacher and expect them to find their way in their role. Why do we do that to new members? Develop chapter leaders. Plan for the future leadership of your chapter and state. Involve different people now to manage different parts of meetings. Seek member input before you finalize your executive decisions. Develop inclusive and collaborative team meetings. And speaking of meetings, have meaningful meetings. Provide a wide variety of high quality, interesting programs and speakers, including programs that highlight community initiatives and those that use members' talents and expertise. Survey your members, formally or informally, to determine the best meeting days and times, what programs are of interest, and the communication preferences. Hold 4 to 6 well-planned, quick-moving business meetings per year. You are only required to have 4 business meetings, and of course, you can have other meetings when the program is completely focused on learning or social fun. You may be wondering how these ideas play into our theme for this biennium. When we think about engaging members and nurturing relationships, we're adding vitality to our organization. If we survey members, we can use those results to ensure that our programs and practices are relevant to their needs. And when we recruit and retain members and we develop new leaders, we're building the sustainable future of DKG. Now we're going to pause a moment to apply this to your community. I'd like you to take notes about what your chapter or state might be needing. I encourage you to do this individually, even if you're meeting together today. You could use this as a discussion topic for another meeting. Here are those strategies again to help you brainstorm. Don't limit yourself to the points I mentioned if the notes spark another idea. I encourage you to add some details notes, and I'm going to play some background music for a couple of minutes while you think about this. So, what does your chapter or state need?
I've been told through time. If what I saw is true.
Morning, Atlanta.
That was weird.
My cousin's ceremony is tonight. We're gonna find out.
Got about 30 more seconds. I apologize, no music playing. The best laid plans don't always happen. Oh, bear with me. Okay. My next question for you is, what needs can you meet? Now, you may be thinking that meeting those needs isn't your job, or that your time is limited, or that you're not sure if you have the skills to help, or if your help would be welcomed. Or you might be thinking, I could do this, or I could do that, or I could do that, or I could do that. And for the next few minutes, I'm going to ask you to put those thoughts aside while we pursue the other parts of the Ikigai model to see how you can find your leadership fit. Please grab your notes again to jot a few things down. We won't take as long for each of these because you'll have several sections to write. Next, write strengths as a title and list some of yours. Maybe you're an amazing organizer or a thoughtful connector. Others may be motivational or strategic or positive. What traits are you proud of? How do others describe you? So I'm going to give you a minute to write these down. Okay, we're going to move on. Please feel free to keep writing there. Now write knowledge and list your expertise. What is your professional background? What hobbies do you do well? What do you do in your free time that others might want to learn about? This is your life's knowledge. If you're interested in completing a strengths inventory, I can recommend to you the book Strengths-Based Leadership. We use it in Texas for our leadership seminar. And it includes a code for you to go online and do your own assessment that will tell you, according to Gallup, what your top 5 strengths are. I'm imagining that you can identify them yourself because you know what you're good at. You know what your strengths are, but this gives you more of an objective opinion, if you will. So that's something that you might think about. Now I want you to think about your passion. What do you love to do? What do you get excited about? If you were to write a personal mission statement, what would it be about? And I'm going to give you about a minute here. And one of the things I'm going to encourage you to do during that minute is to please feel free to list your strengths and your knowledge and some of your passion in the chat as well. By the way, I want to mention that we have 10 potential members that were listed in the chat because people wrote 10 different names of folks that they thought that DKG would benefit. Okay, these next few slides are going to be about your own personal development and leadership growth. And I'd like you to invite you to write down, what do you need or want to learn? Another way to think about this is, what skills do you need to build to do the things you want to do or to meet the needs that you identified? It might be as simple as learning to use Google Docs or another program. It could be about confident public speaking, or getting better at parliamentary procedure, or researching best mentoring practices. What do you want to learn? Take a minute to write those down. Strengths that I am seeing are thinking outside the box, cheesecake and reading, protecting children and deaf culture. Strengths are caring and being involved, expertise teaching and needlework, and cry cut. I would love to go to a program on cry cut. I think some people call it cricket. But what do you need or want to learn? So here's the thing. When you write down what you want to learn or how you want to grow, it is amazing how quickly opportunities for exactly what you're seeking will show up. I'd like to give you an example from my own life. I had been attending committee on teaching about the United Nations conferences for a few years. And while I was sitting at yet another conference, I texted a friend that I wanted to find a way to visit a developing country. I didn't want to watch another video or read another article. So when I got home, I contacted a couple of friends who had traveled to provide services abroad. And one of them worked with Doctors Without Borders in Haiti. And she told me about how they needed administrators for trips. Because it was a charity trip, I would pay my own way to go for a week. And the next trip wasn't for another year. So I waited. Then 2 weeks later, a Fulbright Hays application was emailed to me. It was for a trip to India to study the Millennium Development Goals by meeting with nonprofit organizations, slum schools, and government offices. It was a month-long, all-expense-paid trip that was scheduled that summer. 18 people would be chosen from a competitive application. I took a deep breath and I applied. I found out after I was selected that over 50 people applied. It was a life-changing experience. But what's the point of this story? You must be looking for opportunities, and then you have to be courageous enough to take advantage of those opportunities that show up in your life. Are there other stories when I wasn't chosen? Of course, but you have to be willing to try. Again, congratulations and thank you for being here today. This is one of those opportunities. And I would be remiss if I didn't share another program for you to consider, which is called DKG Ignite. It is the modern iteration of Golden Gift. It is a one-week leadership program that is coordinated with the McCombs Business School at the University of Texas at Austin. And the content is curated from quality sessions that are offered to executives from Fortune 500 companies. The application for next July 14th through 20th is open on DKG.org right now until December 1st. This program will only happen every other year. And I just really encourage you to consider DKG Ignite and to watch for other chances to develop and grow. So I'd like you to think for just a moment, what events or training do you already know of right now that you'd like to pursue? What's something that you might have been thinking of that you haven't taken that step to take advantage of? I'll let you think about that as we keep going. The idea of building a personal board of directors is to identify a group of between 5 and 10 individuals that can help you make sound decisions, give you advice and feedback, challenge your assumptions, broaden your professional network, brainstorm and gut check your ideas, and generally expand your perspective and thinking. I'm sharing an article in the chat that has further details if you want to explore more about this idea later. In Michelle Obama's book, The Light We Carry, she makes it a little more personal by calling it Building Your Kitchen Table. And I'm sharing a video in the chat that you could follow up with later to see a little bit more about how she describes it. Regardless of what you call it, don't be shy about seeking mentors and advisors to help you make decisions, to be there when things are tough and to celebrate when things go well. So I'm going to ask you to write down a couple of people that you already consider to be your board members, or maybe some that you want to connect with. Okay. We've considered the needs of chapters and states, and we spent some time thinking about your strengths, skills, and passion, as well as where you want to grow. And I've come back to this image to have you think again about where intersections happen for you. Let me acknowledge that Ikigai also has a section that says what you are valued for. And in the workplace, that's what you might be paid for. In volunteer groups, that may be what others appreciate about you. So right now, I'm going to ask you to take a minute to glance back through your notes. What are the needs of your chapter or state? What needs can you meet today? And what needs might you meet in the future? I'm going to give you a minute to make notes and invite your thoughts in the chat. Thinking about how you can use this information outside of DKG. Karen, thank you for that note. I do want to realize that this concept does apply in every part of our lives. And even if you go back through those sections of that document from DKG, engaging others in your organization are great leadership skills, right? Communication is a great skill. Having meaningful meetings in your professional workplace. How many times have we gone to a meeting and felt like they could have done that through an email? So thinking about how this does apply inside and outside of DKG. I see some really thoughtful folks taking notes. I see some also thoughtful folks who are just thinking. I know I'm giving you a lot to digest in a short period of time. Another great reason why this is recorded, so that you can come back and think of some of these ideas. Thank you, Judy. Maintaining and increasing membership. Finally, I want to talk to you about the power of investing in yourself and DKG. So why do I choose to talk about investing instead of responsibility or leadership here? Because responsibility is something you should do. And leading isn't a word everyone is comfortable with. But investing your time, your effort, and your resources in an organization is something we can all do. And when you do that, you are a leader and you are responsible. DKG is an investment of many layers. Let's start with the heart of the organization, which is you. Investing in yourself might mean taking time to be with other educators, which gives you a strong network of professional support and personal fellowship. It can also give you a scholarship or grants for further education. It might give you professional growth as a speaker and a leader, or it could give you funding for a project. Investing in each other means we take our part in supporting fellow members and building meaningful friendships. And investing in the organization could include giving your time and skills to work on committees, planning programs, attending or presenting or volunteering at an event, or simply paying your dues. The beauty of these layers is that investing in each of them leads back to investing in yourself, to your personal growth or well-being, and your sense of belonging. It is a reciprocal cycle. So how will you invest in DKG this year? I'm putting these resources from dkg.org in the chat for easy reference. I'm going to invite you to explore the topic that best fits your personal plan of action. In the Leadership Discovery Center, you will find leadership tools for DKG. You will also find external resources from other leading consultants. Under resources, you're going to find marketing ideas. You'll find DKG officer resources. You'll find a membership plan. And on that website, you will also find events that are affiliated and sponsored by DKG. So it's a great tool. If you haven't gone to dkg.org in a while, I really encourage you to do that because there are a ton of resources for anyone. Okay, let me stop share. I'm going to stop now to take questions from the group or to hear what you're taking away from today. And so I invite anyone, it's probably the easiest for you to do is either to raise your physical hand like this, or if you look down at the bottom under reactions, there is a place that says you can raise your hand there on Zoom. But I would love to hear if anyone has any questions or if there's something that's just really resonating with you that you're going to take away from our time today. I see lots of thoughts.
Honey, I think that I appreciate the fact that you are having us think about ourselves as well as DKG, focusing on how you can better yourself. And by bettering yourself, you're bettering everybody around you.
I so appreciate that, Judy. And when we bring our passion to the society, my passion is global education, and I could do a whole separate presentation on sustainable development goals or a whole separate presentation on in doing global competencies with today for kids in the world. And when I bring that and I do those presentations at conferences, I make our organization stronger, but then I also get stronger as a leader. So it's really great that you notice that investing in ourselves makes the organization better. Anybody else? Anything that I whipped through in a really quick basis that you thought, I want to know more about that?
I really like the diagram that you showed about the ikigai. I've never heard that expression before, but it really is like a life thing. Everything that it is encompassed, your passions, your knowledge, all of those things. I think that's a great way of presenting, just the needs in life in general. Thank you.
Absolutely. I'm going to put in the chat, I don't remember if I did it before, but I'm going to put it again. My friend Barbara Bray did write a book called Defining Your Why. And on that article that I'm sharing with you there, she asked me to share with you as one of her blogs. It does have that graphic, but it also digs a little bit deeper into thinking about each of those sections.
I would like to say that how it is important that you think about this. I'm a introvert, supposedly, believe it or not. And one of the things you need to do is go back and think about what is being said. So this is your opportunity to, in days, a few days from now, go back and look at the video, look at this on our website and find out. It might take a little while for it to be set up. Jamie will set it up, I'm sure. But this is something that is really one of the thinking things. And remember, this is not just for DKG. A lot of these things you can use at your church, at DR, PEO, League of Women Voters.
In your classroom.
I was getting there. I hadn't got there yet. But we have to do that every day. Think about these ideas and start, even though you may be retired, that doesn't mean you still don't have leadership skills. You're in DKG, you already showed you have leadership skills, otherwise you wouldn't be here. So this is your opportunity. Go back and review these things that Connie presented to us. And wasn't it a blessing that she came and presented today? I know you can't, if you can, wave your hands, say thank you. And I know many of you use this for a chapter meeting. This would be good for a further chapter meeting if you haven't already done it. Because I know several of us, there's only like 6 from my chapter, about 35 here today. So this would be great, especially for people that are not as involved in DKG. They may not have come to this. So hopefully you get a
Karen,
good
if I
idea.
could say, I have just put my email in the chat and I am sincere. It has been a true pleasure to be with you this morning. I love the chat and the note taking that I saw happening. Thank you for those who shared. But please, please, and this is sincere, don't hesitate to reach out to me to discuss or ask questions about today's session, or to share your DKG concerns or your celebrations. I hope I get to see you at other DKG events in the future, but in the meantime, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. I'm always available for members.
And I will reiterate what she just said. I know Connie, and I know she really means what she's saying. She's just not saying that. She really means that. She is a true DKG. I mean, it's probably written on her blood. So appreciate you coming. And anybody else have any questions? I haven't seen anybody.
Just a couple of things. One, don't forget to mark your calendars because next year is international. So mark that down. That's July 13th, 14th. It's in the things. And also,
Which is in National Harbor, which is next to DC. It's right across from DC in Arlington. And so it's also a great place to take your family on vacation before you go or after you go to the convention. So it's a great place to visit.
And Diane, also the leadership conferences next year are already being planned.
area conferences are already set. Southeast is yours, right?
Yes.
And that's April 20. Give me the dates,
I do.
Karen. 27th.
I gotta
28th.
look at, yes,
And
something.
the weekend before is the
26th.
Southwest. And May, the first weekend in May, the 3rd and 4th, I believe, Northeast and Northwest are combining to have theirs.
So April 19th and 20th would be for Southwest, April 26th and 27th for Southeast, May 3 and 4 for Northwest and Northeast. They're combining.
Yes.
I see Alpha Upsilon has their hand raised.
We just really appreciated being able to have this Zoom meeting as part of our regular meeting. I think sometimes we all get really busy, and I know there's a lot of people here who might not have checked in if it hadn't been on Zoom or if it hadn't been a day that we could have our regular meeting. So thank you for that. That worked out. They're applauding.
How many are in your chapter now? Are there?
Sorry, there are 12 in this room and 2 more, Patsy and Michaela, I saw online as well.
All right. 12 plus 2, awesome. I have one that's just called iPhone. I have no idea who that person is. Can you unmute?
She's coming on.
I see her, but I don't know who it is. I can't.
Wendy Davis from New. We put it in the
Okay. Is that in news count? I don't know. Wendy Davis.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Wendy, thanks for joining us despite your internet issues. We appreciate it.
Well, we've had a great turnout. I'm really glad to see everyone here.
Well, my count was 74, and that's from just the chapter meetings. and there are a lot of individual meetings. So this has been actually better than what we normally would have at a leadership seminar. So I do appreciate y'all taking time. And I know your day is busy and full of other activities. That's what DKGs are about. Women that are busy and involved seem to do even more. So realizing that, I am glad to say thank you once again, Connie, for spending this time with us. And I hope many of you will go to International and get to meet Connie personally and find her. And when you see her, if you go to International, make sure you say, hi, I'm from Missouri. So
we
take
can
care
all
and we
go.
appreciate it. Yes.
Would everybody give me a smile and a wave, and I'm going to take a screenshot right now. Thank you. And Karen, I'll send that to you.
Okay, great. Okay, you all can leave now when you want. We're finished.
Bye,
I'm sure you
everyone.
all, I'm sure Epsilon and some of you have more to do at your chapter yet.
Guess I should end recording, huh?
Yeah.